And away from that, social protection is a constitutional right for each and every Kenyan. And it is guaranteed in the 2010 Constitution, which gives you Kenyan economic and also cultural rights. Yesterday, the President William Ruto, during one of the summits, the Social Protection Summit, he talked about a number of issues which will go a long way into helping the most vulnerable in our society. And just a brief of what he said, talked about that 28 billion shillings in cash transfer for the Inua Jamii program that has been scaled up, and also talking about 1.2 million beneficiaries will rise to 2.4 in that program. But a number of issues also emerge when you talk about social protection. And the most vulnerable, when we talk about the most vulnerable, we talk about the aged, the children, and people with disabilities. And mostly when we talk about children, in as much as they do rely on our parents, there are situations where some parents are not able to give them the social protection that they need and that they deserve. In studio, we have somebody who knows social protection well, because he has been there and has been trying to help here and there. He's not a new face. We're talking about Newton Ogada from God Will Provide, all the way from Homa Bay County. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it is.
Have you been?
It has been difficult. That's why I've never been back to Nairobi.
All right. Being difficult, yeah. I will start with the difficult itself. Yeah. Things are already tight already. Yes. And if you look at the last couple of days, even weeks, the cost of power has gone up. The cost of fuel in the last review also went up. The cost of basic commodities went up, which led even to Azimio bringing protests. And of course, the Nyanza region was one of the major participants in that. How have things been? How are you coping up? Because you do rely a lot on what you're able to collect and yes. what others who have the same mentality as you are able also to provide.
Yes, let me say thank you once again for being here to discuss how life is outside there. Mm-hmm. I was just feeling a few days ago that Kenya should be closed. We need to shut down the country mm-hmm. and restart it again mm-hmm. because everything is not at the same way. Remember, last year when I was coming here, I was using around 10 or 8,000 for fuel. Mm-hmm. But now it's double the price. When I come here and go back, I spend like 16,000, mm-hmm. which means there's a very big gap mm-hmm. on the fuel. Then at the same time, we are going through a situation where the electricity bills are now almost twice the price that we've been paying. Mm-hmm. Then if you go back, we had a drought which actually affect our economy so much, because the cost of food rise like 5-6 times. So in general, everything is like crazy. Mm-hmm. For the past few months, it is not the same. Mm-hmm. Remember, we were crying during COVID that, oh, life is expensive. Life but is I think if we can reverse those days now, those will be the best days ever if compared to what we're going through today. Yes. So life is not easy, my brother. It is and not.
The last time I checked, you have over 400 kids who you're taking care of. Yes. And in terms of the schools and also their medical expenses, you already started a health care center yes. in your establishment.
Yes.
And we are looking at, I remember yesterday the president talked about the National Hospital Insurance.
Yes, the NHIF.
Yes. And this is a complaint that I've had. I remember I have a friend who owns a healthcare system. Yes. And he's talking about they have 3 months of which the NHIF has not paid them. And health being one of the social protection. And we're talking about re-engineering social protection programs. Yes. I'm quite sure this is something that is also pulling down what you guys are trying to do in terms of health.
I think we missed the line. Mm-hmm. There's a place where we missed the rail. For example, if you want to talk about the NHIF, mm-hmm. People are paying a little bit amount for them to get treated when they are sick. And a number of people are coming to the hospitals to get treated. And they have, if you click into their system, you find that they have paid, which means getting treated is their right because they paid for it. And the NHIF is not paying back the hospitals in time, which make the hospitals go through hardship of managing the hospital. For example, we are running a facility and we have patients coming in and out. They are coming daily, and people are sick. People are hungry and people are sick. There's no food at home, and the health is not good. So at least they can reach to the hospitals. And for example, me, I help a big number to pay for their NHIF monthly contributions so that they can get quality and better health care whenever they are. But now we are sensing that in the future, other hospitals will refuse to use the NHIF because the hospital will get paid after they treat the patient, which means you must have the money to buy the medicine, to buy the reagents for the laboratory, to pay your staff, and to make sure all the patients are eating in the same hospital. And then your pay delayed for a month, 2 months. It is not making sense to those who are managing the facility. It makes the life to be so hard. Because getting medicine is not easy. If you go back even to the county government hospitals, there's no medicine because there's a delay of payment from the national government. So you will find some people are working in the county government. When they come to the hospital, you find they have not been paid for their insurances. And for them, they have been deducted, which means there was a delay of the salary. By the time the salary delays, that will cause all the delay for NSSF, NHIF, and other, and even pay. But again, the government put restriction that pay cannot pass a certain date. You must remit your payment. NHIF still have a date that you can, if you pass, you will be penalized. So which means you must find a way of dealing with it. But before you deal with it, you will find yourself, you are over, you pass the date, which means now you cannot get treated. If you are doing the pay, now you are late, you have not do your taxes, and again, there's no food at home.
And remember, I think it's yesterday or the day before yesterday, the chair of the health committee of the COG, who happens to be Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki, also lamented the same thing, talking about hospitals are in a financial crunch because the government is also delaying to provide the money that are required. In your case, how long have you stayed before being paid by NHIF, to put the record straight?
The last two, we stayed for 2 months. They paid something, I think we call them stipend. For example, you are aiming to get maybe 2 million and you're being paid 150,000. When you see the money, you don't even know how to start using the money because there's not even enough to buy the reagents for the laboratory. So in the real sense, we are in the time of danger when it comes to the management of the hospital. I hope they will do something soon. I hope. If they don't do it, I will struggle because I love my people, but many hospitals will reject and they will stop using the NHIF. Number two, the reason why I see all these things are happening, they increase the payment of the NHIF. While they did not increase the money which is going to circulate in the region. So you see many people will default on payment of the NHIF. Because if a woman who is having nothing was paying 300 shillings per month and you increase it to 500 shillings and she don't have stable income, which means she's going to default. And she will die because of somehow malaria, because she cannot get the medication. So we have realized close to 3 months in danger.
And there's also something that the head of state talked about yesterday in terms of the elderly. He's talked about that beginning June of this year, the Inua Jamii program, where the elderly get some sort of a stipend for their monthly use, will be paid earlier, even before civil servants like us are paid. This is something that if you hear the president talking about will be paid even before civil servants are paid, he acknowledges that indeed there have been a challenge in distributing the money, especially that needs to reach where it should be.
What I can say about our president is that he needs to slow down on talking. it's better you say what you understand that is going to happen tomorrow.
But let's wait for June. Maybe you're going to actualize that, because this is something that the elderly have mentioned time and again. You also have a home for them, and you also build houses for them.
Yes.
Things have already changed. Even looking at the Kenya shillings right now, it's quite under pressure. How are you managing? Because at the end of the day, I believe anytime that we have an issue somewhere, a lot of people just have to go look for help somewhere, and they know that they can get help from your home. You cannot send these people away.
Let me tell you, or tell the nation one thing that we are experiencing now. That's why I'm saying we need to slow down a little bit. A time reach even in your house, when things are tough, you don't talk. You first find a way of organizing your house. Then when you talk or when you speak, your children will believe in you. I don't want to get into politics because I'm not one of them. But the promises that the current government has been giving to us, so we are seeing them as fake because they are not coming to their completion. For example, number one, the former government, the elderly were getting their money monthly. It is 6 months since we done with our elections. We are heading to the 7th month. What happened in between? That now we have to start strategizing and planning on how we can do it better in June. While November, December, before election, July, before election, they were getting their money. Let me tell the country that the people that we see talking about payment of the elderly, the widows, and the orphans, these people are suffering. These people don't have nothing to eat in their houses. 3 days ago, a woman came to my home. She was almost falling down because she has been sick in the house for like 1 month. She is a widow, she has 4 kids, and she has no food. She came and told me, Director, I am dying with anger and I am sick. So I was like, how can I go through this? This is a person who could be getting something from the government to sustain her and her children. So I took her to the hospital, admit her for like 4 days, 3 days. She's still in the hospital, I think. And then after that, we have to find a way on how we are going to give this woman something to eat. While the government is still promising that we will be giving them money from June. Today and June, that is 2 months. Do you think you are still going to get them alive? How many are going to die because of this anger and sickness? So we have to actualize what we have been saying to people. Talking is easy. I cannot just come here to speak for the people to see me speaking in a TV station. But we need to speak and do action. Action is better than even speaking. The state of the nation today is dangerous. I am at the ground, I am feeling it every day, I'm meeting with challenges every day. Remember, before January, we had a drought, and that drought goes up to almost April. The rain started like 2 weeks ago. And all the prices of food rise up. The person that you are promising to give money June is not working anywhere. Maybe him or the mother lost all the children. Nobody is there to give them. They reach a level that they cannot go and do some contract to get something to eat. So we need to actualize most of the things that are happening in this country. And my advice to the government is, there are many things that we can do rightly. We have Mama Mboga, we have those who are doing small business. You add fuel, you add electricity. Then you are still telling them that you want again to add taxes. What do you think this person is getting or is earning? You are telling us, the same government is telling the people of this country that now the NSSF
we are coming to you live from Connected Summit Kenya.
We must pay
right
extra. NSSF, we understand, is a saving for you. When you get retired, you will get something back home. How will you save today more than what you are earning? What do you want to carry home? The school fee is there. Then the food prices are high. I think we need to have somebody who can advise the president rightly. That before we add tax, before we add electricity, before we add all these things, can we go back to the drawing board and ask where we got lost? Number one, if it's about the subsidy, can you please take back the subsidy for 6 months? Then you stabilize in the office and you see the income that you are collecting every day. Then from there you can remove it, knowing what you are collecting. But you know, the situation we are in because they removed the subsidy without knowing what we are getting as a country. Number three, I did not go to maandamano because I was taking care of the widows and the orphans at home. I was finding what they can eat and how they can go to school. But I wish I could be in the same street with the people. Reason why I'm saying this, when the government reach a state where everybody is speaking in the camera on big amounts that they want to add, and in the evening there's nothing, and people are dying, it is not making sense. And
still, we are talking about things that are not making sense because everything and the cost of everything is going up, and it's no exception because also actually managing a big home now requires even more resources. How have been the revenue streams coming in, at least to bridge the gap that is being left by the high cost of living?
My friend, I've been going through hell. To feed 400 children and to run the hospital and to help the widows, I've taken a lot of loans, which I don't even know how I'll pay them back. The reason I've been supporting this child is in Form 4, Form 3 in a different school, which is not mine. I will not stop supporting the child, and I have to pay the school fee. If you don't pay that child will never be in school. A widow comes to you like the one that I mentioned her name just now. Nothing you can do. You have to stretch so hard. But I thank God I've been receiving some small finances from my supporters in the United States. You know, which is not now enough. Because, for example, if I was getting close to maybe 1 million per month or 800,000 per month, but the cost of living is 3 million per month, which means I have to make sure how to come and do something in between, which is not easy. So my concern is still not about my supporters and how it is difficult on my side or on other people. We need to sit down as a country. I'm not supporting the maandamano thing because that may not bring food on the table.
And I'd also like to know from you, a lot of issues are surrounding the kids. And yesterday I spoke here to somebody who helps street families, and he said one of the key issues that they're facing is the identity cards. And you also have a lot of kids who from the streets and also homeless kids. So we'd like to know exactly how you're managing that, because that is also another big challenge of which it needs to be looked into, because if at all they are over 18, they would like to now be in control of their lives and also help to chip in. Earlier on, before we crossed over to Diani, we were talking about the number. I'm quite sure the number of kids now, because everyone is pressured by the economy and the state of affairs in the country. I'm quite sure you are receiving a lot more. And how are you endeavoring that and ensuring that they are also catered for, despite the fact that your pockets are also running dry? And how also are you helping them in the acquiring of identity cards, which will later help them in life?
Thank you. Though we have not reached that level, all my students or my pupils have not reached the age of 18, being I'm only 12 years old in the system. But there's a way how I conducted recruitment of my children. What we did, we put pressure onto the relatives of our children. Number one, to provide the birth certificate for the children, which means now we'll never have any problem with giving the identity card when the time
but unfortunately, there are some of you pick from the streets and they don't even have a birth certificate.
Yes, like 2 weeks ago, I got one who is around 3 years old. I've been trying to announce everywhere. We reported to the police station. We even called the local radio stations to announce, but nobody. I've never seen anybody coming for the child. And I'm suspecting this child maybe has a mother or a father within Oyugi's town. And being the life is really going worse, they decided to forget about the child. I have the child in my house now as we speak.
3 kids, 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah, it's a kid. It's like my baby, because it's like I have now 2 babies in the house. Yeah, and I'm taking care of him. So in the future, we have all the direction that we can follow. Number one, we have we reported these cases to the Ministry of Children, Social Services, so they know that I have certain children. So if we don't find anybody who could actually give us the clue about their background, where their parents were, then now I will be allowed to offer them with my identity to take the ID for them, because nothing I can do. I think the government will give me those children so I can take care of them as my own children.
The last time we talked, you were talking about the county government is not actually doing enough to help guys who are helping other people like you.
Yeah.
Has the situation changed?
It cannot change, because even the county government has no money. In fact, the county government are the same people who are sending us these children. Like, for example, if somebody sends you a child from the Ministry of Children Department and it's within the county, the police always get these children in the street, but they send them to homes. You know, so they don't have, like the county government, the national government, I've never seen them anywhere within my region supporting what we are doing. What they're doing best is to ask us about the license, if we can pay 1, 2, 3 for the government. That's what they're asking us anyway, without knowing where we're getting this money. And I'm not talking on myself. I'm not talking on behalf of all the people who are taking care of the children, widows, women, and all those things. Until to date, you will find a place like my school, I still have to pay tax. And I have more than 100 children who are learning there for free. You know, you will find even at the hospital, I still have to pay the taxes that they want. But again, I'm taking care of other people who cannot even afford to go to the hospital. You know, so I'm just thinking that we and the government, but we need to find a way. The government should find a way of dealing with this kind of issues. And let me tell the people, or I mean our officials, our government officials, people are not happy down there. People are crying. It's only that they cannot cry loud for the government to listen to them. If you look yesterday about the Mandamano, everybody want to go. Everybody's crying. It's not about the election. It's about the problem and the suffering that people are undergoing. And we have to stretch this for the president to understand. People are not feeling good at all.
Now, you mentioned earlier on that the little that you have together with your international partners, and the situation in Kenya is global in terms of how the high cost of living and the high cost of fuel and everything. How are the revenue streams now? Because they are also having a cash crunch as well, or they have a better, they are helping you despite the fact that they are also undergoing the same challenges as we are experiencing the country?
I lost many of my supporters back in the States. And I have a bunch of emails that they sent to me, Newton, we are sorry we cannot help because of the situation here. But again, I still get some few people say, even if it is difficult, I still have to stand with this, my brother. The same way, it is difficult on my side, but I still have to stand with our sisters and our daughters and our fathers and brothers who are in the same situation. But the life, it is not within only this country. It is all over the world. But at least I am still getting something small to support. Yes.
And because of the interest of time, we are looking at the social protection, and in the country, yesterday we had a lot of big words, which we are hoping that the government will honor them and actually actualize all that. What would be your rallying call?
First, I will request the government to do some few engagement, like Kazi kwa Vijana, if they can bring that back, so the Vijana will have something to do every day, not going to the street. Number two, if the government could stand with the elderly the way President said. Number three, if the government can actually bring back the subsidy. All this mess is because the subsidy was removed. So we are not getting anything. My last request to the government, because of time, please, we are requesting government to reduce the taxes, the electricity bill, and the fuel. Because many companies are going to close. and many Kenyans are going to be jobless. No company will make money when the taxes are high. No company will make money when the fuel cost is high, and no any company will make money or profit when the electricity bill is high. Which means the best they're going to do, they're going to say, I'm going back to my country, because most of our directors here are foreigners. They are helping, they are investors. Most of them will go back and they will close. Even right now, as I speak, in my office, I have application every day for those who are looking for job. If you ask somebody, why are you looking for a job? They are telling me, my boss said he's not receiving money, so you don't need to retain me. So we are, if we way on all these additional things that government has actually put in place, we are going to lose more people who are supporting us in terms of industries, and our people are going to suffer. And we are going to welcome theft. Because when the youths are not doing anything, the best they can do is just to start stealing. And we are going to be at danger in a way that you cannot reach in your house with whatever little that you have. You know, so
yeah, and you mentioned earlier when you mentioned that you're also flying overseas to look for more partners.
Yes.
As we wind up, kindly touch on that.
Yes, I've lost most of them and the country, and they fear what is happening in my country. When they see all these riots and all noises all the time, they run away. They say we cannot keep on supporting a country whereby what they can do is just making noise, and there's no, and the corruption and everything. So I lost some, and I'm going back today to the US. I'll fly there today to the US to look in any way that I can bring up new people who will understand the situation that we are into now. Because if I lose all of them, even me, I'm a person, I will say, okay, I cannot feed 100 children, I cannot do this, I cannot pay salaries, then I have to quit the job.
All right, all right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Newton Ogada, and apologies for interjection, because we are now crossing over to Diani, where our reporter, O'Brien Kimani, is currently on standby with the Trade and Industry and Investment CS Moses Kuria in regard to the Connected Summit. All right. As we wait for that, I interjected your point. Maybe you can finish up on it as we wait for that signal.
Yes. I'm just saying, like, we, even us, those who are dealing with the widows, orphans, who are doing social services in the community, we will run away because we cannot carry the burden. The burden is too loud. It is too big. And we cannot reach each and every person. So we need to change. The government should do something better to improve all the sectors. Even if it will take us a year, we can slow down a little bit. And even the talks of our officials, they should look as officials of this country. They cannot just talk the way they want to talk.
And there are some Kenyans who also help you out, right?
Yes, few.
Few.
Like maybe 1 or 2 people.
Maybe you can rally Kenyans to do something, because you're not the only one who is complaining that indeed things are tight and the government is doing a little on what it should be doing, protecting our kids, the elderly, the vulnerable, and the people with disabilities as well.
I will request or ask anybody who is willing to help, even if you don't help through Newton, you can reach a widow or an orphan who is not going to school, and please try to take them to school. I remember recently I saw here that many students did not report to school due to the school fee and what have you. I'm requesting for anybody, if you see somebody is not going to school, maybe that schooling will help the family. Please just stretch your hands and help that person to take that child to school. You will never lose anyway. You will only gain because you are building your country and you are building the future of the child that you take to school. So anybody who is willing to support us, just support us. But if you can support your neighbor, don't rush to support me.